All right, guys, welcome to the Crawford County, Illinois Ghost Hunter Society live talk show. Done the short introduction tonight from the old introduction I had. We're working on a new intro video, so that'll be coming here in the near future. So we're just going kind of right into the show tonight without the video introduction. But again, welcome to the Crawford County, Illinois Ghost Hunter Society live talk show episode number 57. We are getting up there in episodes, guys. So definitely check our Facebook page out, and you're probably watching for Facebook. You can check our website out. Also, it's at crawfordcountyghosthunters.org. Definitely get on there and check our website out. Give us an email at Illinois Hauntings as usual at gmail.com. We will answer any emails regarding any type of paranormal phenomena or activity that you might be experiencing in your home or business. Definitely let us know, and we can try to set up an investigation. If you are experiencing any type of activity, we will try to check that out. We do paranormal investigations free of charge. We're in this for the research. So if you guys do have something you want us to come investigate, or a place that's haunted, send us an email. Shoot us a message on our Facebook page, and we'll be more than happy to come check that out for you guys. I'm sorry, I'm getting a phone call. But if you're not watching on Facebook, you can definitely check I'm having problems tonight, so bear with me, guys, here. Internet problems. You can check it out at youtube.com/Crawford County Ghost Hunters. We dual stream to YouTube for this talk show, so definitely check that out. If you're not watching from Facebook, you can check it out on YouTube. But like I say, I'm having extreme internet problems here tonight, so I'm hoping everybody can see and hear me. Been having some problems the last two shows. Checking out your comments here to see if anyone can hear me out there. But if you guys can't hear me okay and see me, give me a thumbs up and tell me yes in the comment section, so that way I know I'm not talking to myself out there. But the music tonight is by Midnight Syndicate. All rights reserved. Definitely check them out, guys, at midnightsyndicate.com. They got a cool website, cool music. So we're going to get right into tonight's show. Got a few announcements. Going to talk about the Halloween season again and our tours and events that's coming up. We've also got Becky is going to try to jump on the show tonight as a co-host and guest. So hopefully we can get her on there. She's working on her computer right now, her device that she's going to get on the show with. So I've sent her the link. Hopefully she pops in here after a while. Maybe not, but she's definitely out there in the comment section watching for trolls tonight, because we have had our share of trolls lately. Wonder who that could be. But that's a whole different story. Guys, I'm going to announce some more of our haunted tour schedule here. Now, this is the official schedule. We did put it on the Facebook page, which I'm sure you guys have seen. It is the haunted tours and events official schedule for 2022. We are going to be doing the Elizabeth Betsy Reed tour this weekend, so definitely check that out if you guys want to see a cool haunted tour with it's basically retracing the steps of the documentary that we helped produce with Joe Turry, The Hanging of Elizabeth Reed, a ghost story. So basically, we're going to go to all the sites that we went to, during the documentary. And this thing, this hit Amazon Prime when it first came out. Went pretty popular on Amazon Prime, and I don't know where he's got it at now. I have to talk to Joe and figure out where you guys can watch this at, if it's online or available. But we're definitely going to be giving a couple of these DVDs out at our haunted tour this weekend, the Saturday night on the 24th. So definitely, if you have not signed up for our haunted tour on the 24th, it's going to be pretty cool. Check it out. We got some cool stuff going on. We're going to give some cool stuff out during the tour. But we're going to retrace the steps, in the documentary of where we went with the documentary and the story of Elizabeth Reed and how we believe it took place. There's a lot of mystery, rumors, and controversy surrounding Elizabeth Reed, especially, with the whole, where is she buried at? And we kind of put that kind of to rest with ground penetrating radar at Baker Cemetery, but it still doesn't prove through DNA that's her there. But You have to take the tour to hear the whole story. It's going to be pretty cool. And we'll be there at Baker Cemetery Saturday night, probably late Saturday night, because this tour also includes a walk-in tour and short paranormal investigation of the Edward Dobbins Masonic Lodge in Lawrenceville. So we will start out, down by the river, walk up past the high school area, talk about the high school and the Elizabeth Reed story and the little ghost story associated with the high school that we've been talking about on our haunted tours for a long time. And then we're going to go to the Masonic Lodge, and you guys get to go through it. It's a really historical building, the oldest building in Lawrence County. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Definitely check that out, guys. And that's this weekend, and it's $10 per person. That's our Elizabeth Betsy Reed Haunted and Historic Tour. Starts at 8 p.m. And as of right now, I think we are leaving. I think Ben Pargin, he's on my team now. I believe he got permission for us to leave from the high school parking lot. So we're going to be leaving from the high school parking lot for that. If not, the one beside the Masonic Lodge. But those details, I'll message you guys if you sign up. So it's going to be a pretty cool tour, and a lot of information regarding the life and death of Betsy Reed, and basically the afterlife of Betsy Reed, and some of the paranormal occurrences associated with her death. So it's going to be a pretty neat event. We're also going to do a haunted Lawrence County tour this year. So that's going to include 4 buildings, 4 outdoor locations across Lawrence County, which is pretty neat. We're going to start out, I think, at the Methodist Village. We've got the Masonic Lodge, the old jail, Pylon Manor. It's going to be neat. We're going to, weave through all that and go, to all those locations inside, do small-scale investigations. We've got 4 outdoor locations also in that tour, so check that out. But there is one thing I want to update on our official schedule if you guys are out there watching, and that is we changed one of our Methodist Village nights. It would be October 28th, and we just recently changed that today to the old jail and City Hall there in Bridgeport, Illinois. So we're going to, it's one of the newer places we got on the list, so we're going to try to hit it more this year since it's a new location. Hopefully, you guys will want to come see that. It's a pretty cool jail with a lot of history. Used to be the old City Hall, and there was a police officer that passed away there of a heart attack, which will tell you the full history, when you guys take the tour. But definitely check that out. That's going to be a good one. We've got that on our list several times this year. And a Pylon Manor and old jail, and that you can go back and forth from. That's on October 15th. You guys can buy a $30 ticket and go back and forth from Sumner to Bridgeport, from the old jail to Pylon Manor all night long. So trying to read your comments, get the comments up here in the section. Still haven't seen Becky yet. She is missing in action. So I don't know what happened to her. She'll be on here later, though, folks. We'll get her on here. I'm always losing Becky when we're on investigations. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight, too, is we're going to talk about, kind of go back memory lane. Oh, talking about memory lane, that's kind of why I want to go back memory lane. I got an announcement to make. We do have Todd Bates back on our team, which is pretty cool. Todd started out on my team, I think he said 2003 is what he said. He got to start, by going on my haunted tours and starting on my team. He's on my paranormal team for years, and helped him with Haunted Voices Radio. We had did some talk shows for a long time. We even did a talk show in the bowling alley at Robinson, Illinois for a while. I helped Todd with that, and he's just been, a part of us on and off for years. He moved away for a little while and came back, but yeah. So we got Todd back. He's back on the team. He's excited to be back. Him and his girlfriend, Sherry, they are going to be new team members of mine also. So we're going to probably – nope, hold on. Becky's jumping in, guys. Sorry. Gotta throw Becky in here. There's Becky. Maybe. You live, Becky?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, I hear you, but I don't see you.
That might be a good thing.
You are dressed, right?
Yes, I'm dressed.
Okay. She wasn't about 10 minutes ago when I called her, so I'm just warning you. No. But no, all I see is a dark screen, so you must not have your camera on. Yep, there's something. I think Becky's a ghost, guys. We'll get her in here.
Do you have to see me?
No, we don't have to see you. I mean, if you want to just talk to me to black screen, that's fine.
That's fine. I can see your face, so I'll just pretend I'm talking to you and you alone.
Okay. That's fine. Well, we got Becky in there for the audio anyway, guys. She's having a camera problem, but we'll just throw in there and she'll be the mysterious Becky there in the background. But you still got to bounce the trolls out, though, Becky, if we get them on here.
Pardon?
You still got to bounce the trolls out of the chat room, though, if we get the
Oh, okay.
you know, who we're talking about. But yeah, talking about some of our haunted tours, guys, there is another team out there, and they are doing everything they can to disrupt our team. It's kind of funny in a way, because they were all ex-team members of mine that I kicked out. So they tried to start tours in the same locations. We're doing tours we've been doing tours for 20 years, and it just not going to work out for them real well, I don't think. So I apologize for that. Talking about some of our haunted tours, guys. But yeah, you're getting feedback in the background there, Becky.
Okay, I just turned the sound off, so.
There we go. But anyway, guys, we want to talk about our haunted tours, and all the haunted tours that we do, the proceeds are going back to the business owner, the building owners, for restoration of these buildings. Historical buildings, they need upkeep. The electricity is on in some of these locations. The roof needs fixed in some of these locations. So all the money we raise during our haunted tours goes right back to these building owners and the people that upkeep these buildings, for maintenance and everything, for even electric bills. The Methodist Village, they're still paying electric bills on that thing. So, and the roof recently fell in. I think I talked about that on the last show in the chapel. There's a big hole in the roof from a storm that went through, and they had to fix that. So, there's damage and repairs that need done to these old buildings all the time. And we're not pocketing any of this money. We're putting it into these buildings and back to the owners. That's what we like to do. We love to keep these places open for all you guys to enjoy, especially on our haunted tours. And we like to show you guys the locations that we have determined to be haunted, in our opinion. And it's hard for me to label a place as haunted, and that's what I want to get into with our paranormal investigation team and the approach that we have taken over the years, with our team. We made a lot of people mad. We made a lot of people, especially building owners that we've investigated our houses and places, when we tell them, we've debunked their activity. We can explain it. We have natural explanations for the occurrences taking place there. And, it's hard for us to put a label of haunted on a location unless we have experienced something we cannot debunk. We cannot explain modern day, science and techniques that we use to paranormal investigations. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. Some of the stuff we have experienced at these buildings, and it's Becky's doing something there. There we go. Now you were a figure. Now you're back. But Becky's just going to be a little spot there. There we go. You can still hear me, can't you?
Yes, I want to be incognito.
Okay,
I
that's
want
fine.
I want to be like a spy.
Yeah, that's cool. But I want Becky on here tonight because we're gonna go back memory lane, guys. Tonight we're gonna talk about the old, the old team, the way we used to investigate, and some of the original locations we investigated up until even when Becky started the team. And it kind of reminded me, and kind of when Todd rejoined the team, kind of brought back a lot of memories. We had a lot of good times, back in the day when Todd was on the team originally, and we just kind of made me think of some of the locations we used to investigate that aren't even there anymore, which is real sad. So, but yeah, definitely though, once we get started into this little memory lane talk here and talk about our team and the way we investigate, yeah, like I say, we do have our haunted tour page. up. We have our haunted tour advertisement up for the events and schedule. It is on our Facebook page. So definitely check that out. Don't miss that, guys. It's got a phone number. If you want to call it, call that phone number, reserve a spot, or just send me a message and say, hey, I want 3 spots for such and such night, and we'll put you down and get you going. So definitely check that out, guys. Here's a question, though, real quick. I'm going to answer. I'm going to throw that up there. April says, Jason, have you ever heard stories about the United Methodist Village North Campus? It's vacant now. A lot of activity there. I used to work there. April, I have heard a few stories about that from a few people. But as of right now, I think the health department is moving into there from last I heard. So I don't think it's going to be vacant for very long. If it is vacant, I thought they'd already started moving stuff in there. But I don't think it's going to be available for investigation. So I would like to investigate it sometime. Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not. We'll see what the future holds. But I have heard stories about that. If you have any other comments or any stories you've heard, April, definitely throw them into the comment section there, and I'll bring it up. So Deb says she's been watching our older lives, and they're fun to watch. Thanks, Deb. We're going to start pumping them lives out again because if we can get through this haunted tour season, that's the thing. Once we start our haunted tour season, we don't go live a whole lot just because, we don't like the live feed to take away from the experience of, the individuals taking our tours. With that big light and everything, sometimes it takes away from, the darkness and the ability to see, hear, sense, paranormal, activity that takes place around you. With a big light in your face, you can't see anything. So we try not to go live as much during the tours, but we are going to go live during a couple of them this year, just to let you know. So, and this weekend, we are going to be investigating Friday. I think we're going to be at the old jail, possibly Friday, and maybe go hit the Masonic Lodge. I got to talk to Ben about that. But we're going to do some investigations this Friday, and Saturday is our haunted, Betsy Reed tour. We're going to be in Lawrenceville too. So I got some stuff going on this weekend. And we're booked with these haunted tours every weekend, probably until November. And have we got a list of stuff coming up in November just because we're backed up? We've got some crazy places we're going to go in November, guys. And we're going to be investigating cold cases again, too. So we will still be investigating murder locations where they can't solve the murder, with as of right now. So we are going to go into a lot of cold case investigations here. Possibly, if we can get him in sometime, even in the week in October, we'll see. But weekends are going to be extremely busy for us. But hold on, here's another question. Sorry, guys. Do you have age restrictions for your tours? I have a 16-year-old. Thank you. On the age restriction, if they're under 18, we just would like them to be accompanied by an adult. As long as they're accompanied by an adult, legal guardian, that'll be all right if they're under 18. But if not, yes, they have to be accompanied by an adult 18 years of age or a legal guardian to attend our tours. So, gosh, we got a lot of questions coming up here. Sorry. Throwing these out here real quick, guys. I want to answer your questions and get to them. So April says, too bad in room 209 and 212, patients would see a man dressed in black. New employees would ask about the room and say there was something spooky about it that they didn't like, always in those 2 rooms. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, if we ever get a chance to go in there, I will definitely take that into consideration then and go into those rooms for sure. I'll have to look into it and let you guys know. Diana Dart says, hold on a minute. That's so cool. You're doing cold cases. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And there are some people that wish to remain anonymous that are associated with those cold cases that we do. So we do have another team member that we have put on recently that wishes to remain anonymous. And we are going to be doing a lot of those cold cases in the area. So it's going to be pretty cool. And it's pretty neat because, people may have clues and hints as to, what happened. And they may be able to tell us or send us messages. And there may be some clue that, completely turns one of these cases around. And we're able to help the family identify who murdered somebody or who, how these events took place. So, yeah, that's going to be happening a lot in November. We're going to be going around to these locations. So we've also got a mansion we're going to investigate in November, and a couple houses. It's going to be crazy. We're going to be doing a lot of lives in November because they're, like I say, we're backed up for the Halloween season now and not able to do them. So try to read your comments. Here's some more. Also, there was a lady in red that would appear in the dining room. Staff would see her. That's pretty neat. Yeah, that's weird because like the new campus hadn't been around for that long. Has it, Becky? I mean, the new campus down there, it's not very old.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, the new campus hadn't been around, a real long time. So I'm surprised there's, that type of hauntings associated with it. So that's the thing too. In order to have haunting, you have to have like a pretty good history of events, of things that have taken place there, from deaths to tragic events to even a lot of energy. It can be positive or negative energy I've seen associated with some of these old buildings. Huh. Something just hit my wall. That's happened several times while I'm doing the show. Like I start having activity here in my haunted room because I've got all my haunted objects in here, guys. And that hit my wall hard again. But anyway, I kind of changed my whole thought process there. That was pretty hard. Did you hear it, Becky, over the mic?
No, I didn't hear it. Sorry. I'm watching the shadow of your doll over your shoulders, so I'm more worried about that.
Trying to grab me back there. I got to watch out for that thing. But but yeah, I'm gonna go back, kind of going all over the place here tonight. And Bowen says it's the doll, probably so. Bowen doesn't like that doll. She's freaked out by that doll. I think the doll and possums. If you ever see Courtney Bowen, just give her a possum. She loves those. But anyway, we're gonna start talking about how we originally started investigating. We started this team years ago. I started investigating paranormal occurrences over 26 years ago when I was just in high school. From 16 on up, I've been investigating strange occurrences around the area, and we started forming the team. And it's been so hard over the years, and this is kind of what I'm getting at, with the whole team thing. It's hard to keep a team that follows a strict set of guidelines and protocols like I want them to follow. And I told people before, I've had a lot of friends that want to be on my team, and I tell them, it's probably not a good idea because I hold my team members to a higher standard almost than I hold my friends, which is kind of weird because it's almost like they're on my team and they're kind of working for me at that point. We try to take a serious approach to investigating paranormal occurrences. And if I feel like, they, a lot of them start out doing good and they feel like it's not for them. We've had a lot of team members, that I've kicked off or left over the years. And because of that, there's a lot of people out there that have formed their own groups that were ex-team members of mine that are running around there, I guess trying to be us, which is, I guess it's kind of flattering, isn't it, Becky?
Yeah, but the reason they were kicked off is the reason they're not always good teams.
Right. Yeah. Good point. But like people they have fake stuff over the years that I've caught, and they get kicked off. Caught several people, faking things. That is absolutely, if they fake something, boom, they're off my team. I do not put up with that. Hold on. I got to throw this comment up there. I'm getting off track tonight. Boo, Jason, I've seen live where you have stated that you have heard something. Yeah, it's happening a lot lately. I mean, like I say, the more lives I do, I think the more weird things are happening in here. But going back to the team thing, we've had a lot of team members over the years, and a lot of teams started up in the area because they got to start with us and then, left and tried to start their own team. But we're not going anywhere. We've been here for 26 years, and, we're going to be here as long as I'm here. So we're going to keep doing this and keep investigating, whether they want to try to do the stuff right beside us or not. It doesn't matter. So we're going to we do this for the scientific research into paranormal occurrences and phenomena. We don't care how popular we are. We don't care about, what people think about us really, other than the fact that, when we tell you something, we want you to know it's the truth. And that, if we tell you something's haunted, or we tell you we've got a piece of evidence or a piece of, any type of like video footage or, photographic evidence that we cannot debunk, at the current time, we cannot figure that out. And, in a way we don't care, what people think, but in a way we do, because our reputation is everything when it comes to investigating paranormal occurrences, and just straight out telling you guys the truth. And that's what we do. We've told you the truth about Willow's Weep. We told you the truth about McPike Mansion, how we caught her faking stuff. If we catch somebody faking stuff, or if we see a group doing something, we will call them out. And that's just the way I am, because we're in this field to research life after death and paranormal occurrences. It's not a competition. It's not a, oh my gosh, I got better evidence than this team got. That's why we hardly ever post evidence anymore. Back in the day when we first started investigating, we would post a lot of stuff. And, I was first starting out, back in the, mid 90s, and posting stuff, when we were like one of the first websites, up, even sometimes when the internet got started. There was like a few other ghost hunting sites on the internet. We were doing this before ghost hunting was cool, before the talk shows started. And something just hit my wall again. It's going crazy in here. But we were like doing this before Ghost Hunters was even on TV and a popular thing. And Ghost Hunters kind of revolutionized all this fakery and this ghost hunting hoax, where everybody thinks, you get something, you can review, 2 nights of evidence in 5 minutes like they do on TV. And it takes a week or sometimes to go through a location and the evidence that we collect on some of these investigations, go through video evidence, audio evidence. If we've got a eddy meter set up, we got to go through that evidence and see if any of our EMF spikes correspond with any temperature changes. And maybe we got some video footage at the same time. We look at all that to see if several pieces of evidence come together to determine whether or not something is paranormal in origin. We try to debunk everything we can. But, we've been doing this for a long time, and there's been a lot of places we've investigated in the past, and a lot of places that we've debunked, a lot of photographs we posted up on the original website that I can debunk now. And it's crazy, how you progress in this research and are able to, pick out stuff, the fake stuff versus the legit stuff. And photographic evidence, like I've talked about a lot of times, is very easy to debunk and explain in paranormal research and investigating, because a lot of people apparently need to take a photography class, because dust particles, the flash will illuminate these suspended particles. They can be dust particles, they can be pollen in the atmosphere, rain in the atmosphere, moisture in the atmosphere. Any type of suspended particle in the atmosphere is going to bounce off of a camera flash or an IR or a video camera. The IR light will even reflect off these objects and cause them to look like these, what people call orbs. And orbs are not paranormal phenomena. They are dust particles and suspended particles in the atmosphere. They are not ghosts. There's so many of these groups and even group pages that you go to, and they're posting pictures of these orbs and different things they're claiming is paranormal objects or paranormal anomalies, and we can debunk a lot of them. So like we want to keep it real here, and we want to debunk everything we can. So that's why we love to show you guys these places on our haunted tours, because there's things that have taken places in these locations that we can't explain. Will it happen every night? No, it doesn't happen every night. But Pine Lawn, for instance, we still cannot explain these objects being thrown. And the Methodist Village, it is increasing in activity tremendously with every group we have in there. We've been having other groups come in and investigate the village. Every time another group comes in, the activity just keeps getting crazier. And but these locations and stuff, it's not just us experiencing it, it's other people experiencing it. And that's what we like to show you guys too through these tours. We like to show you these, hopefully you'll have an experience. We like to show you the locations and hope that you have the experiences that we've had in there. But yeah, Diana said, thank you. Yeah, I said, so glad you keep people on your team held to your standards. And yeah, it's hard, and that's kind of what I'm talking about tonight in a way. That's kind of the whole basis of tonight's show, is our approach and the way our team investigates. It's not for everyone. It's not for, because we've got a lot of people that just come on for the thrill of it. They come on, to just think that, something's going to happen every time, or they come on and they try to throw something, and like I caught one guy, this was years ago. This is before pylon days. He tried to throw a penny in a house and I kicked him off. It's just, these people don't understand the approach we take. And I actually have a set of guidelines and protocol that I follow. And I have my team members sign them. And, if they break these guidelines and protocol, they're kicked off, and that involves, faking. Number one rule, do not fake. Do not, even act like you're faking something. And I told him, there's a difference between sometimes we will try to debunk something and reenact it. That's not faking. We're actually trying to reenact an event that took place or recreate an event that took place to see if it was paranormal or if it could be duplicated by us. And we'll do that a lot. If we see a door shut on its own, we'll try to, get that door to do that again. We'll introduce a wind current, or we'll stand in the same place. We're trying to debunk the activity, not recreate it and make it, look like it's something it's not. So we try to, debunk all activity we can come across. Not sure what they're talking about here. Would you think differently if you're around him more often? I'm not sure what she's talking about, Brooke. Brooke, I don't know what you mean. You can be more specific. But anyway, like I say, Becky's been on my team for a long time. She's seen all the people, we've had on the team. She's seen all the people get kicked off. I mean, and it's just, I'm hardcore. I guess is how you can put it. I mean, what do you think, Becky? I mean,
no, I agree, but you technically have to be, because if you have one person on your team that starts faking things, that pretty much means if you're on an investigation, you have to throw out all the evidence because you don't know if it's faked. Even though in your heart you may know that all of it's not faked, to follow the standards, you may have to throw out all the evidence because one person faked something.
Right.
Can you hear what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm clear or not. So
yeah, absolutely, and that's actually happened. We investigated the Lawrenceville High School, and one of my ex-team members was missing, and it's accountability. We thought we'd captured, and we don't know still. We thought we'd captured 2 apparitions walking from the locker room or the locker side and disappear into the hallway through the wall. When we originally investigated the Lawrenceville High School, they called us in because they were having strange things. This is before it burnt, the old Lawrenceville High School, because there's a story of Georgine Lyons, and she was killed in there, and they were having strange things go on. So they called us in. So during my investigation, we had the night shot video cameras set up, and we thought we'd captured 2. They almost look like translucent figures walking into the doorway. Well, come to find out, 2 of my team members were missing and unaccounted for at the time. So I had to throw the whole evidence out. I couldn't find where they were at on the radio, and I couldn't figure out where they were at. And it even happened to us at the Methodist Village here recently with, I think it was Kelsey and the guys from Terre Haute. We didn't know they were still in the building, and we thought we'd got the most awesome apparition video footage ever. And we again 2 people walking through a hallway, which would be very rare to actually capture 2 full body apparitions on an IR camera. We thought we had it, and Kelsey had told me, nope, nobody's in the building. Nobody's in the building. Well, I went back and looked at another camera and looked at the time frame of when the guys from that's on my team from Terre Haute left the building, and they were walking out of the building at the same time we captured the apparition, so we had to throw it all out. and we'll debunk our own stuff every day. I mean, I've debunked my own stuff on numerous occasions, so it just goes to show, we try to, you know, let you guys know, if we do find, an explanation for something, we'll let you know. I'm trying to read comments here. Let's tell previous tiers route. I don't know what they're talking about. I think we got a troll. What is she talking about? This is, it's funny to tell the previous. I'm still not following you, Brooke. You're gonna have to be more specific than that. But
You don't have to follow her anymore. I banned her.
well, I don't know what she's even talking about. Is she?
She was being insulting.
She is being insulting.
She was being insulting, so I banned her.
That's what I'm telling you about, guys. That's the some of the other team members that I've kicked off, and they formed another team. I guess if they want to talk about it and they want to get on here and troll my page again, we'll talk about it. What do you think, Becky?
No, because she's not being specific. She's just being rude and vague.
Yeah.
So if she wanted to be specific about her concerns, she could put it that way, but she wasn't. Sorry, yeah. I'm being the page boss, I guess.
No, you got to keep me in check because I'm not as nice as you. So, yeah, Becky's got to keep me in line here because, quite frankly, I'm about sick of these people coming in and trolling our page. They've made fake accounts. They've been on our haunted tour list here. The event thing I put out, they trolled it, started commenting on it with fake accounts. They made fake accounts, tried to blame it on us and on their page. I mean, it's just ridiculous, some of the things these people are doing. So, like I say, it's all a group of people. I'm sure you guys have seen the other tours going on down the Lawrenceville area. But it's a group of people that I kicked off that started a team to get even with me. So that's what they're doing. They're trying to get in all the places, and they're trying to harass all the stuff we're doing. So, and if you guys follow their page, more power to you. If you want to go there and follow their page, that's great. But I'd really appreciate it if you didn't, because they're not associated with us anymore. And if you guys would unfollow them, that would be great, because they're really starting to make me mad. I'm trying to be calm here, but now they've come onto my show. So anyway, I'll let Becky talk for a minute. What do you got to say, Becky?
Okay, do you want me to start when I join the team, or you want me to comment on what's going on?
You can make comments on what's going on if you want, but
well, it's like I said, I'm sorry I banned this person because they were not being specific or asking questions.
I think you should have kept her on there so she could show her true self. So.
Well, it was not a concern. We need to keep to the subject of tonight. So I'm sorry. But
no, you're right.
What is it? My title? I've been given Becky the Bouncer. So anyway, that's what I was. So
yeah, like Sammy says, be the bigger person. We didn't just ignore him anyway. So anyway, but everybody's saying they love you, Becky.
They don't know me well, do they?
Yeah, you got a lot of supporters out there. Casey said she loves you. She said, "Good job, Becky, Deb."
Well, I love you too, Miss Casey. I've known Miss Casey since she was little bitty, so.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, yeah, like I say, Becky's been on the team for a long time, and she's seen the strict approach we take with investigating, and that's why these people aren't on my team anymore, because they didn't take a strict approach. And some of it has been even religious stuff. We do not bring religion into our group. I don't like to bring religion into our group, and when somebody starts doing weird religious practices, which is also a couple of these people were that I kicked off recently are doing. I'm not into that. I'm not into worshiping pagan gods and golden cows and weird stuff like that. So, um, that's another reason why I didn't want to associate with them anymore. So, you know, I don't know. I'm just going off track here because they keep trying to get in on my show here. But that's the reason why, we've kicked some people out too. And the reason why we're talking about our guidelines and protocols, we don't use religious objects to provoke ghosts or spirits. When we go into an investigation or something like you see on some of these TV shows, like some people will bring in crosses or Bibles and they'll try to provoke the spirits, or they'll try to perform exorcisms, or everything's a demon, everything's demonic and evil because it's a black shadow figure, so therefore it's evil. It's labels they put on ghosts and spirits that show me that they know nothing about the spirit world. Most of these ghosts and spirits that we encounter in these investigations are our loved ones. They're people's family members. And people try to get us to communicate with their family members. These aren't evil people. These are people that lived here before us, just like me and you talking tonight. And we don't like to use religious items to provoke these people, because what if they weren't religious in life? I mean, it's a Christian versus a Muslim. I'm not going to go into the home of a Muslim and try to get that person to get out of his house with Christian objects, or the other way around. I'm not going to take the cross in and into a person that's even, satanic or something, and worship somebody completely different and try to force them out of their homes. I'm talking ghosts or spirit wise, or in real life. People have a right to believe what they want to believe when it comes to religious aspects, but when it comes to the paranormal field, I don't want to provoke ghosts and spirits by using religious dogma, if that makes sense. And,
basically, we don't provoke, period.
Right, yeah.
We don't provoke in any way.
Yeah, exactly. We're not provoking ghosts and spirits and telling them to get out or cross over and all that, because for some reason they're still here. They're here for a reason. We don't know why they're here. There's a lot of theories as to why ghosts and spirits, remain here. And, that kind of brings me into, a lot of my top haunted places, and why I believe they're haunted. And we've investigated a lot of places over the years, haven't we, Becky? I mean,
yes, we have.
A lot. You name it, we probably investigated it. We've investigated boats, we've investigated hotels, we've investigated schools, we've investigated vehicles, we've investigated lakes, rivers, streams, Indian mounds, people's homes, businesses of every type. It's just crazy, some of the locations we have been called in to investigate, which proves ghosts are everywhere. And that's what is interesting. Any place could have a ghost or spirit, but it's the locations where there's been lots of death and lots of energy associated with them that become the most haunted. Like battlefields, for instance. What's your opinion, Becky, on the energy associated with locations? Not necessarily somebody dying, but just energy. Even maybe there was a lot of good energy associated, and it doesn't necessarily have to be bad.
I think there is energy. I think I've told you this, and this is my theory. It's not the group's theory. I think every place has a certain amount of energy. I live in the same house that I grew up in. So when I'm gone, there's probably going to be a lot of my energy here, because it's almost like, and I say spiritual DNA, I don't mean like religious DNA, but there's bits and pieces of me scattered all over this house. It's like CSI, when they say that you can't get rid of DNA someplace at a crime scene or whatever, you can't get rid of the energy that we leave there. And to me, when you go someplace like a church, a school, a battlefield, places like that where there was a lot of energy, you're going to have that imprinted there, and it may actually be somebody that loved the place, may be there, so you're going to feel their energy. I mean, if it was personally the bowling alley here, which is no longer a bowling alley, but there was a spirit there that was attached to it. He apparently had worked there, and it was a place he loved. So he stayed there. That was good energy, like you said. And then there's the bad energy that is from like a battlefield where a lot of people died.
Right.
Or a place where there is a lot of emotion, a lot of activity can be, there's energy imprinted there. But like you said, we've been to some houses, like especially old farmhouses where you could feel somebody going up and down the stairs. And it was probably the energy of a mother that was going up to check on her children, and she did it at the same time every night. So there is that energy there, which is probably an imprint, but still there's energy there from everything.
Right. Yeah, in the battlefields, like you said, negativity, emotion of, just battle and fighting, especially with Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where we investigated. I felt the energy there, it was just unbelievable. I don't know how anybody could not walk out onto some of these battlefields and feel the emotions and the energy, like I'm not an empath or anything, anything like that feels things like that, but like, it almost opens you up to feeling. I mean, the energy is so strong. It's just something everybody can feel, I think, at some of these locations, And yeah, I think you're right. And some of the things you're talking about can be what we call, a residual haunting or residual type activity, where something may happen over a course of time and imprint itself onto the atmosphere and then replay itself over time. It's kind of like a battery releasing its energy over time. That's kind of what like a residual haunting is like, or a movie replaying itself. And that's the weird thing and theories behind some of this energy and imprints onto areas, is because it doesn't necessarily have to be an intelligent ghost or spirit interacting with you. It can be a residual type haunting, to where it's just a weird replay or loop in time, if that makes sense. And the reason why we believe some of this stuff happens like that is some type of dimensional overlap or a tear in time, is because of Gettysburg and the gunshots. The gunshots and the cannons firing that people hear. Gunshots and cannons cannot have a soul. You that's not a soul. There's no life to a gunshot or a cannon, but people report hearing these sounds every night on these battlefields, especially in the Gettysburg area. Across areas like Devil's Den and different places there. And you can't say that that's a ghost or an intelligent ghost or spirit when it's a gunshot. Like I say, that has no soul. It has no life force, no energy associated with it. It may have a ghost or spirit firing an imaginary ghost gun. I don't know. but the shot itself is not was never alive. That's what doesn't make sense, if that makes sense to you guys. So you have to classify some of these hauntings into the residual haunting area because of that. And it's just a weird area of study, especially in EVP, electronic voice phenomena, which I like to specialize in, and ITC, the instrumental trance communication, which is communicating with any type of spirit, through electronic means. That's our specialty. That's what I like to do, because I can explain all these photographs. I can explain video evidence. I can explain just about everything, well, except for objects flying out of a pine lawn. I can't explain that. But, I can explain most of the stuff people capture and record with any type of, photography. I don't know. That's why I got into the EVP stuff, guys, because, I cannot explain intelligent communication coming to me when we have a blank recorder that you can go buy at Walmart, or used to be able to buy at Walmart. They don't even sell digital recorders anymore. But you can go buy it at Best Buy, probably, a digital recorder you pick right up off the shelf, take it out of the package, nothing on it, take it to a cemetery, ask some questions. Hey, what's your name? And you get, my name is Michael, back. An intelligent conversation back to you with a blank recorder. You cannot explain that. I mean, and there's a lot of theories, as to why why it happens. Is it imprinted onto the recorder through their mental, some type of mental ability? Are we doing it? Is it some type of psychic ability that we have to digitally imprint our thoughts and our voices onto these recorders, and we play it back with the voices on there? It could be anything. I mean, but I legitimately believe we're communicating with the other side and with spirits that have passed on. What do you think regarding Becky, regarding intelligent conversation on recorders? Any type of like electronic device. I mean, how do you think it's happening?
I'm not really sure. Remember, I'm almost Amish. I don't understand the technology part, but I agree with you. I think we can speak to the spirits and however they do it. And I was going to bring up while you were talking about the gunshots and stuff. Remember the gunshot you picked up on the recorder in the Opry House in Palestine?
Yeah.
That was before my time, but I know you've told me about it. So, but anyway, there have been too many times when we have had, as you said, the intelligent communication. We were talking about this in our group chat not long ago about going to what was called Hatchet Man Cabin. And I can remember having Jason and another team member sitting side by side, and you were asking questions. And what I found very interesting in that conversation was when you played them back, yours had a male voice answering questions on it, and the team member who was sitting right beside you had a female voice answering the question in an intelligent manner, but the other voice did not show up on either one. And that one I always found interesting. I would like an explanation for that, but I don't know enough about it to understand why. That it can be imprinted on there and sitting side by side. Why did you not hear the male voice on both of them and the female voice on both of them? That's something I found very interesting.
Yeah, correct. I know. I've tried to figure out that for years, because you're right. We can set 3 different recorders down, get 3 different things. And even what Ben just brought up, this is a very good indicator of something strange is going on too, because it says, what about the when it's a different language you don't even know? And that's happened to us too on several different occasions. We'll be on an Indian burial ground, for instance, and pick up some type of Native American type language that we don't even speak or know. I recorded one. I think you were with me, Becky. We recorded a couple on the burial grounds. We were sitting there that one night. It may have just been me and you. Remember that?
Yes, but actually, I don't think that one was strange too. We didn't actually record it. We thought we did, and when we went to play back the recorder, it was not on there. So either it was erased on there, or the voice that was yelling at us very loudly in the Native American tongue was using the recorder's microphone to put forth that sound, because it wasn't on there after we played it back.
Yeah. And see, that's a really cool point Becky just brought up regarding EVP research, guys, and instrumental transcommunication, where they're trying to communicate with through any type of electronic device. And that could explain why a lot of paranormal investigators have reported this same phenomena of, thinking they hear something, or even having an EVP that they heard when they played it back. They hear it plain as day, and then they go to play it back again, and it's missing or gone. And it could be exactly what Becky's saying. That ghost or spirit could be manipulating the speaker in the digital recorder at the time that you're playing it back, and actually coming over the speaker, and it's not actually recorded on the device, if that makes sense. So, and that's manipulation of electronic devices and instrumental transcommunication. That's the type of research we like to do, because it's just things like that you got to notice. It could be using your speakers and not actually recording on the device. And that's a good point, Becky. I mean, that leads into a whole different theory as to, how they do communicate with us. Still there? Yeah, I think I got you now. But and I had a lady one time. She had reported paranormal activity in her house that she was picking up a voice of her. I believe it was her husband that passed away in a car wreck, and she had just set up a new webcam or a new cam inside the house, like a just like a security type camera inside her house. And she was hearing live over the camera, it's kind of like a baby monitor type effect. She would be going and listen in on her phone, and she was hearing the voice of her husband in the background coming over the security camera that she just installed. It was not recording. It was just coming over when she would listen in to the room or something live. She was hearing people talking in the background. It was scaring the heck out of her. I think she even called the police, she said, a couple of times, sent them over there, and there was nobody there. And, she started listening more frequently to it and started to decipher what it was saying. And she believed it was her husband that passed away that was communicating with her. And I believe, like I say, I definitely think, they will find ways of communicating with us, as, I've seen here recently with my incidents that took place, so it's like, a lot of cool stuff, that we just can't even comprehend. And we're just trying to scratch the surface on here of, how ghosts and spirits communicate to us, to the living.
That's why we're called paranormal investigators. We investigate this stuff. So,
right. Yeah, like she said, I love your theory, Becky. Energy cannot, be created nor destroyed. Einstein taught us that, and yeah, that's for sure. And where does this energy go? It has to go somewhere when we pass away. It just there's some people that believe there's just nothing. It's more along the lines of like an atheist type, thinking process. But like, there has to be something. This place is too complicated for there not to be anything. I mean, we're too complicated. Or even the anatomy, the human anatomy and structure. I mean, something designed us and designed this place. There is something beyond us. So. I don't think we're probably ever meant to know, but it's comforting to know that we're to the point in time in history where I think we're getting extremely, extremely close. And I don't know if it probably will never happen, but we're probably as close as we ever will be to straight out communicating with the dead or loved ones through some of these devices that we have now, like the ghost boxes and, even digital recorders, back in the day, there weren't digital recording devices. So, I mean, it just goes to show, with technology advancing, what are we capturing? Where is it coming from? That's my main thing. Is it a dimensional type thing where it's coming from another dimension? I mean, or are they right here beside us all the time, just interacting with us and we can't see them? Or is there a dimension existing within our own dimension, like almost like a mirror effect right on top of us existing at the same time? You get into multi-dimensional theories with this and physics and, science. They've proven, multiple dimensions probably do exist. I mean, so what's Ben saying here? Oh, we already played that one. Sorry, Ben. All right, put that up there. I thought he said something else. But yeah, Becky started out, years ago on the team. We've done a lot of investigations. One of the cool places we used to go to, I want to talk about, was called the Robinson Spook House. You remember that, Becky? I'm sure.
That was like my classroom. I learned so much from it, and I'm so sad that it's gone. Although I don't think I called one of the spirits there Mr. Nasty, and I'm not completely sure that he's completely gone, but it was where I learned so much about research and investigative techniques and everything. So it was, I think probably Pine Lawn is more active than it. At one time, I thought that was the most active place I'd ever been, but it was a fabulous place. So
you thought the Spook House was the most active place?
Yes, it was. I think Pine Lawn is more active than that, but at that time, I mean, it was very active. There was, it was a beautiful old house. I'm so sorry it got torn down. It was, I'm trying to think, wasn't the history of it, it was the land that it was built on was
Mm-hmm.
the original land
It's
that was made to plant Robinson.
That is correct. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's over there in the library area, and they even think that whole area. It was on Jefferson Street in Robinson is where we're speaking about, guys, and we called it the Robinson Spook House because um, it was just crazy. And I like how Becky hit on a classroom. I'm going to get back to that here in a minute. But the house was just loaded with paranormal activity. And it's set right across the street from a big house with pillars that's still there. And they report seeing a little girl on the stairway there. And the library's right down the road. And if I remember right, I believe somebody in the Archaeological Society told me that they believe the Robinson Library sits on what they call a step mound. And they believe it's Native American related. Have you heard that, Becky?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that whole little area right there is pretty active right there in Robinson. And if you go over a little ways, you've got the old cemetery that they on. I think it's on Cherry Street. I may get my streets wrong here. But the old Robinson Cemetery, where they put a house right on top of the cemetery, leveled the stones, and supposedly they moved some of them to the Palestine Cemetery, and I think it was the Legault family is how you pronounce that, were moved into the Palestine Cemetery from that cemetery, but I think some of the bodies remained under the house. So a lot of people don't know that it's right there on Cherry Street. A house sits right on top of the old cemetery, and it's kind of straight shot from this house we were investigating. And now that I found out about the old cemetery, which I didn't know about back in the day, it's kind of close to the house we used to investigate. So maybe the cemetery stretched a little farther than what they thought, or there was people buried under that, what we call the spook house there on Jefferson Street too. But a lot of strange things. The owner originally called us in there because he was going to remodel the house and turn it into an apartment. And he was in the living room area, which kind of connected to the kitchen. He got hit in the back of the leg and knocked into the kitchen area. And he's a big guy, the guy that used to run this and own this. I mean, pretty good sized guy. I'd say he's at least 6'4". Wouldn't you, Becky?
Yes, he would, and very large build too, very muscled. So it would have taken a lot to knock him over.
Yeah. Yeah, he got knocked over into this kitchen area. And so he called us, said, "Hey, I'm trying to remodel this house and I'm having strange activity. Wanted us to come investigate it." So we investigated it. He said he was hearing knocking coming from the basement. And this is where, I guess the waiting game comes into play when it comes to paranormal investigations. It's not like you guys see on TV where, oh my God, something happens every night or 10 minutes after we get there. It took me probably 28 investigations into that location before I finally experienced the knocking he had reported to me. And I was in there one night, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 something just hits the floor from down in the basement. We go running down in the basement, and there is absolutely no one down there. No one could have got down there. No one could have, got out of there before we got there, the way that house was set up and everything. And there was no explanation for it. I mean, just pounding on the floor like somebody was under there. And there was a hump in the basement that we always joked around and said somebody was buried in there. You remember that?
Yes. And there was one under a part of the house that was built over it too. It was like two, I call them body-shaped mounds. They were large enough to have held bodies, but because it was a dirt basement, dirt walls, dirt floors. And I don't know if you ever, we were never given permission to dig down there to find out what it was, but the owner didn't know it wasn't connected to like the furnace or water or anything like that. So we never figured out why those were down there. So that may have been part of the haunting.
Yeah, it could have been. There was a lot of activity associated with the building. We think it was a former owner or a former resident that lived there that passed away. We kind of thought some of the activity was coming from him. We got EVPs in there of just all kinds of stuff. And, I talked about earlier in the show about how, a lot of stuff isn't evil. Some people are just kind of mean spirited in life anyway. I mean, people can be evil in life, so I mean, I guess they can be evil in death. I mean, it kind of works that way. But there was one ghost or spirit in there that wasn't particularly nice,
Mr.
and
Nasty.
yeah, Becky referred to him as Mr. Nasty, like she said. And I got everything from I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to choke you, all kinds of stuff. I had a girl in there with me one night. We were up in the upstairs and we were doing an EVP session. It called her the B word and told her that it was going to choke her. So, all kinds of stuff going on in that house. We heard disembodied voices. There was a set of crutches that would move around. We would put those crutches, we would do our haunted tours in there. And me and the owner is the only one that had a key to the location. And what was this? What years you think we're talking here, Becky? Like early 2000s?
Well, you started before I did, but it would have been 17 years ago when I started. That was the next place I helped investigate. That's why I called it my classroom, because we actually stopped. The first investigation I went on was 17 years ago in October, and it was Pemberton Hall. And coming back, two other team members, I heard them talking about the spook house. I had absolutely no idea what they were talking about. And it was Barb and Kim. And I said, well, where's that at? So they took me by there. And I don't know if I ever told you this. We pulled into the driveway part. We were sitting there. And, of course, there was no power in the house. There were nobody living there. And I looked up at the curtains, or up at the second floor, and the curtains were moving. The window was not open. There were no places, for air to come in. It was very airtight there. It was actually a nice building, and the curtains were moving. And so I know it was like, I think that actually the next night we went there and started, and you were helping me learn how to investigate properly, because I messed up a lot at first. I whispered and all these other things. I made noise. And the group was teaching me how to be quiet during an investigation and everything. But the next night we went there, and I think we went at least every weekend for quite a while. So it was a fabulous place.
Yeah, I'm sure we investigated that place probably 150 times or more. I mean, some of these places, and that's what I want to hit on in the classroom part, guys. Like, when we find a location that's extremely haunted, we have been fortunate enough that a lot of these owners and people that, had these houses or locations like the spook house, because it remained abandoned for years because nobody would move into it after that. They tried to sell it to a couple in Florida. I actually tried to sell it for the owner on eBay as a haunted house. This couple came up from Florida, looked at it, went in. They actually gave him a down payment, went in, and came running out of the house, and we never heard from them again. We don't know what they seen, what happened to them, but nobody would come into this house, so it remained abandoned for a long time until it was finally torn down, a few years back. And now there's another, like a modular home, I think, over where it used to be. But we've been fortunate enough to have some of these locations like the spook house, to where we had access to it and keys to it, like the Methodist Village, like Pine Lawn. We've been given a lot of access to that, thank goodness, to the owners, to turn these into research centers, to turn these into paranormal classrooms, to where we're learning and we can, share our experiences. And that's what it's all about to me. We're constantly trying to learn new things regarding, new techniques, or maybe this will work, maybe that won't work, and we learn through our failures. We've had a lot of things that didn't work, and so we don't do it. We've tried a lot of different devices over the years. We've tried a lot of different equipment over the years. We've debunked a lot of equipment over the years because of these locations like the Robinson Spook House that we call our classrooms. And we all learn, not just Becky, but, it's a learning experience for all of us. Every time we go into a location to investigate, those ghosts and spirits are going to throw a wrench in something that we've never seen. I mean, and Becky, you experienced a lot at that house, didn't you?
Yes, I did. But I wanted you to bring up the picture you took to help sell the house. Remember when you took the picture?
Yeah, so I take a picture of this house, guys, and I was trying to sell it for the owner. Like I was telling, we were going to put this photograph up on eBay to sell the house as a haunted house on eBay because he couldn't get rid of the house. So this was our last option of trying to get rid of this house because he wanted to get rid of it. It scared him so bad that he didn't want it anymore. And I kicked myself 100 times for not buying that place. Still kicking myself right now in this chair for not buying that place and turning it into a paranormal research center and a tour, place. But uh, I was young and dumb. But anyway, yeah, I took a picture of the house, not knowing that there's anything in the background. We bring the photograph up, and there's a perfect lady in a dress with like almost glowing like eyes that I've still to this day have not been able to debunk. I think it's on her page, isn't it?
Yes, I
Somewhere.
believe so.
I believe you can find that somewhere on our Facebook page under pictures. I've taken a lot of the pictures off because, like I said, I can debunk most pictures. But somewhere on there, you'll probably find it if you search back through our stuff. It's called the Robinson Spook House. It's a black and white picture, and if you blow that black and white picture up, there's a lady in a dress standing right beside the house. We still don't know who it is. We don't know how she got there. She was not there when I took the photograph. Just one of those photos I still cannot explain.
It wasn't
So
just a dress, it was a long dress. Like
yeah,
it was from the turn of the century, last century. So
right. hmm Yeah, it was just weird. I mean, I still cannot figure out what caused that thing. But yeah, like I say, there are some things we can't debunk, and that was one of them. And then we've been to other places, that like the Fife Opera House. That was a really cool location where we learned a lot, and we had a lot of paranormal activity take place. The Fife Opera House in Palestine. Were you ever there, Becky? I cannot remember.
no, unfortunately, it was just before I started that you had to stop. I don't know the reasons, but you stopped investigating there. So
Yeah, yeah, we used to do haunted tours there at the Fife Opera House every year too, and well, that's when Phyllis Moraga was on the Palestine Preservation Society, and they actually let us investigate, and we put it in the Crawford County books that went out. What do you call those things? The flyers, where they talk about area attractions. The tours were advertised in those. Maybe it's the state of Illinois book where it advertises different events in the state. And she was on the Preservation Society and kind of promoted the Opera House and everything. We done some cool haunted tours in there and investigations. We probably investigated it over 100 times too, and just unbelievable activity in there too. EVP activity. We could sit in this one room. We actually had a couple TV crews with us one night in there, and they'd been filming our whole investigation, trying to catch something. They quit filming. As soon as they quit filming, a set of sliding doors that was over by the lobby area slid shut like that and just went boom, right as they had shut their cameras off. And they were like, well, that's the way it goes. And so they didn't get to capture it. But just a lot of activity. A lot of people seen apparitions upstairs in the auditorium area, which it was at one time a bobby pin factory. But it was, gosh, it was Harold Fife, right? It's been a while. That committed suicide in there.
it
Is that
was one
correct?
of the 5 men. I can't remember the
Yeah, I
first
may be
name,
getting this
but
wrong, guys. It's been a long time since I've investigated, and I may be getting my history wrong, so I apologize if that's not correct. But I believe it was Harold Fife committed suicide. It was David Fife's nephew or David Fife's relation, but they were actually talking on the phone to the telephone operator at the time, which at the time they could listen in and hear things. And he was talking to somebody else, and the switchboard operator at the time on the telephone, which used to be across the road, even in the old theater, heard a gunshot come over, and they sent a neighbor over there and found the Fife guy laying on the floor dead with a gunshot wound, and he committed suicide. And we didn't know any of this information when we first started investigating the Fife Opera House, back in the day. But I had my video cameras set up in there, up on the second floor where the auditorium is at, and I've heard something up there, and so I played the video cam back and listened to the audio, and it sounded like we picked up a perfect gunshot I mean, and this was loud. It sounded like somebody shot a gun off in our video camera. I mean, it was, you know, and the problem with loud audio like that going into a video camera or audio recorder, even a digital tape recorder, is sometimes the recorder doesn't give it the benefit of, you know, the actual sound amplification of what it was, because you're putting that into a microphone, so you're not getting the full dynamics of that sound and everything that actually took place. But so it sounded a little muffled on the recording when you played it back, but you can clearly hear that it's a gunshot. But I mean, it was extremely loud, and it was just really. And we didn't know at the time that there had been a suicide in there involving a gunshot, and that was one of the investigations where I was like, you know, our historical research after proves a piece of evidence that we recorded during an investigation, and really was really a cool investigation for us because of that. You know, it was we kind of proved our the evidence we captured through historical research. And that's why, like, I'm kind of hesitant now because of that investigation. Sometimes when we go into a location, I don't like to know the history, because if we, for that, in that instance, you know, we recorded the gunshot before we knew the history. If I record a name before I know the history, you know, I can say, you know, John and Jennifer and, you know, Frank was at this location because that's the voices I'm getting. If I don't know any of that history, that's more legit to me, because then if I go back through the research and there were those names involved in that location, that just proves even more that it's legitimate communication from somebody that is actually interacting with people at that spot. So sometimes we don't like to know the history before we go in. Sometimes we do a lot of research. Sometimes we don't. Just depends on the location and if we're allowed to go back. Sometimes, you know, if we're not allowed to go back and it's going to be a one-shot deal, I'll research the heck out of it just so I know where to go and set stuff up at, because we've only got one shot at it. But if it's a place where, like, you know, I think I may be able to get back in, sometimes I don't like to know that history. You think that's a good approach, Becky? I mean,
Pardon? I'm sorry, I didn't catch your question.
with the history and stuff, like, I'm saying, like, I mean, do you like the approach sometimes we take of not knowing the history of the locations and trying to get evidence suggesting something and then prove it through the historical research?
Well, as you said, at the Fife Opera House, that showed us why we probably shouldn't go
Yeah.
in great detail. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there have been several other places we went that we found out information afterwards that more or less confirmed evidence that we picked up. I know the Methodist Village is one of them, because we've continuously had people that either work there or had people that were residents there that have come up afterwards and told us stories.
Right.
And there had been incidents before that oh, now this makes sense. We know why that happened. So
Yeah.
but I do like the historical part of it too. I know we try to do in great detail, like you said, at least after we know we're going to go back. It helps us to have some ideas, because it can also be used to help if we're asking questions for EVP sessions, to know what's happened there. If we have a possible reason for activity that might be there, you know, like if we, well, like you said, you didn't even realize that there had been a suicide there. If you'd known that, you probably could have asked more questions, but you wouldn't have had the evidence shown to you. Maybe he wanted you to know that he had committed suicide. That's why the gunshot showed up on the tape.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. Yeah, they could be trying to communicate and let people know, you know, hey, this is what happened. And you know, she said, yeah, it's better not to know anything about a place before you investigate, Deb says. And Diana says, I love that you don't always have the history. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you guys like that too, because we'll start doing more of that, like in our investigations and stuff. You know, if we get feedback from you guys and say, hey, don't research the history, don't know anything about it, you know, we'll do that and see and try to see, you know, if we pick things up, and then do the historical part later and see if it corresponds with what we pick up. So Yeah, we'll probably start doing that a lot, especially with what we're going to be doing coming up. I can't talk a lot about it, but we're going to be investigating the cold cases like I'm talking about, and we're going in cold. We're being taken into some of these locations. I'm not saying by who, where, what, when, or whatever, but we're being taken into some of these cold case locations to investigate. And I don't want to know anything. We're not going to know anything. That's the whole nature of the game here. We're going to see what we find, see what we communicate with, who we communicate with, see what type of evidence we pick up, whether it's, who it was that we're trying to communicate with, how old they are, who the murderer was, what type of vehicle they drove, was there more than one? We're going to investigate a lot of these cold cases where people have been murdered and try to come up with answers for the families and for authorities to see, if there's any type of leads they can get off this. So it's going to be pretty cool. And I wish we could start now, but we're so busy with the Halloween season, I can't even get into it right now with our haunted tour season coming up. So, but this coming November into December, if it doesn't get cold where ice and snow and blowing and stuff like that, we're going to get into some cool investigations. So, wait a minute. Good evening. That's interesting about the history of different locations. Just curious if someone's unaware of the history, how do they present questions during spirit communication about that location? Just curious. Some people love knowing it and others not to know it. Wait, I got to read that again. Are you following that, Becky? I'm slow on it. Yeah, it's interesting to know the history. Okay, just curious if someone's unaware of the history, how do they present questions during spirit communication? Well, you can't really ask questions if you don't know the history, I think. Is that what he's getting at?
Looks like that's what he's meaning, yeah. How do you formulate the questions you want to ask during an EVP session, probably? I think that's what he's meaning.
Yeah, you can't. That's the thing, too. If you're doing an EVP session, it's hard to formulate questions if you don't know the history, but you can start out by just asking a name, and then if you get a name, go off that. Say, okay, Frank, you're here. How'd you die? What happened here? Keep formulating off of answers that you receive, especially through live communication, like spirit box sessions, ghost box sessions. Then you can start to formulate a plan of what questions you need to ask.
But basically, we usually ask, is there any way we can help you? Is there anything you want to say to us? So that sort of opens the stream of communication for them to tell us what they want us to know.
Yeah, exactly. We don't really have to know anything. Yeah, we can say, hey, we're here. We would like to communicate with anybody that might have passed away here, might have been murdered here, might have died here. If you died at this location or around this location, please communicate with us tonight. We're here to communicate and hopefully help you out and help your family find peace, that type of thing, and see if we get any type of response back. And gosh, we've got some crazy stuff so far, through, spirit box communication. And Karen said she's late here. Hey, Karen. But we've got some crazy stuff through spirit boxes. But like I say, you got to be extremely careful with the ghost box stuff. And I don't like apps. I don't like the necrophonics apps and all the ghost box apps that are out there. There's one by Spud Pickles. I can't remember the name of that. I like the Ghost Radar, just things like that. They're made for entertainment purposes only. The ghost boxes and spirit boxes that we actually use are real modified radios that are picking up waves that cannot be manipulated through software programming like these apps can. If you're using an app, a spirit box app on your phone, that can all be manipulated and pre-programmed by the software designer to throw out these words, to throw out these phrases at certain times. It can even pick up your voice and hit off your voice. Maybe you say, oh, I'm in a house, and it'll say, I'm right behind you in the house. It's hearing you say, are you at a house? And this is throwing a sentence back in relation to that. So you got to be extremely careful with apps because they can be fake. And, a lot of these groups are using them thinking they're getting real communication from ghosts and spirits, and they're not. So we the spirit boxes we use are actual, modified AM/FM digital radios that have been clipped. I mean, I like the yellow one you guys see me use on the live feeds. That's a Sangean radio that I actually modified myself. You clip the mute function inside, and what that does is it allows that ghost box or that radio, AM/FM digital radio, to scan through the frequencies without stopping, and that's what you want. You want that continuous scanning through those frequencies. And the theory and process behind spirit communication through these ghost boxes is they can either, manipulate those words coming through the airwaves coming from radio channels. They might take Taylor Swift's voice, Garth Brooks, and Jason Aldean, and throw in a sentence that says "please help me" in 3 different voices. But it's right after I say, "Hey, do you want to give me a message?" And then it goes, "Please help me," in different voices. It can happen like that. It can come across. Now, these are the ones I like. It can come across in one single voice and come across several different frequencies, and be a robotic like sounding type voice. A lot of times it's not. And I have heard male and female varieties in the ghost box pattern of speech, where it comes across, 3 different frequencies at once with intelligent communication corresponding with what you're asking. That's the ones I really like. But you got to be careful for what's called audio pareidolia. It's just like pareidolia in digital photography. You think you see something in a photograph that's not really there. That's what pareidolia is. It's the whole man in the moon effect. People look at the moon and, they see a face in the moon when it's actually not a face. It's just craters. That's the whole pareidolia effect. Also, when you're looking at photographs, people will look at something and, oh my gosh, there's a ghost in the background. There really is here, though, guys. If you see that hand, that's not pareidolia. That's a real good. No, that's a doll hand sticking out there. But for instance, if that was in the background like that, a lot of people will see, holes in tree leaves, and make faces out of them, or reflective surfaces like windows, mirrors. We throw out all window and mirror shot when we're investigating. We do not photograph into any type of reflective surface when we're investigating for paranormal occurrences, because there's a lot of reflection, there's a lot of matrixing, pareidolia that comes with flash reflection entering glass, and distortion of the picture. And a lot of people, all these pictures are, there's a ghost in this glass window looking back at me, and it's all a result of pareidolia usually. It looks like something human-like or face-like when it's not. And we've been pre-programmed since an early age to recognize faces. Even as babies, we've seen our mother's face, as our mother held us. That's one of the first things we see, and we're programmed to pick out faces and things. And that's why people have a tendency in these photographs of, oh, there's a face in the smoke. That campfires are a big thing. We get hundreds of pictures of campfires, every month sent to us. Look at this image in the smoke. And it's pareidolia. Smoke creates a lot of images. It's just like clouds. If you look up in the clouds, you can create things out of the clouds when you cloud watch. Yeah, some of them do look like dinosaurs, or some of them do look like faces, but it's a cloud. So that's what we call pareidolia, and you get the same effect in the audio world. It's audio pareidolia that you've got to be careful for, because we're trained to hear things. We want to hear things too, so we want to hear help, or we want to hear those things that we're trying to listen for. So you got to really train your ear to hear the legitimate, intelligent responses coming across these devices, and not let the audio play tricks on you. So it takes a long time to develop an ear for actual intelligent communication through these devices. And some of the best things that people have picked up on devices in instrumental transcommunication research and EVP research are through white noise with nothing at all hooked to it. Just a radio station with nothing coming across it. It's just the static. You hear that sound, and then you get a voice. That's like a spontaneous audio voice coming across that shouldn't be there at all, because there's nothing coming through that station, or nothing even coming through. And you got to make sure that it's not a station when you get a direct response like that too, because And that's when people started using Faraday cages to block out the radio signals, the FM signals. We've used that and experimented with Faraday cages over the years. You put it over the recorder, the digital recorders, and it's supposed to block out FM communication coming through. So that way, if you do get a voice or recording, you can rule out any AM, FM radio transmissions coming through and recording onto that device. And but we've done all kinds of research experiments over the years with EVP, ITC, just things I'm not even going to tell about on air because they're so crazy. If it's EVP and ITC, I've tried it. There's what people call the Estes method. I don't like calling it the Estes method because they're talking about we investigated this years ago, the hotel, Stanley Hotel out in Colorado, getting my states mixed up here. The Stanley Hotel out there in Colorado, in Estes Park and Estes area, supposedly it originated in that area with the whole Stanley Hotel and everything, the guy, but we called it the sensory deprivation method long before it even got popular in the ghost hunting shows, was calling it the Estes method and all that. But we called it the sensory deprivation method. We put a blindfold on, put earphones in. Somebody else would ask the question either in another room or, close to the person. The person with the earphones and blindfold on cannot hear what the questions are. And they're spouting off responses. You're telling the responses that you're hearing coming over your device and not hearing the questions. So it's kind of a more legit way of interpreting ITC or, voices coming across ghost boxes, because you're not, you don't have the question to kind of form your own thought process and answer to. We took it steps further into the sensory deprivation method, and we would introduce a red light, which is supposedly supposed to give you like a out-of-body type experience. So we would do the blindfolds, the headphones, and introduce a red light to our blindfolds. And, you've got your eyes closed to that blindfold on. And when you introduce a red LED or a red light to that while you're doing that, it does create a weird sense of being out of your body and a weird communication experience that's different than anything else. But we've tried all types of experiments over the years regarding that. But hold on, I'm gonna get to some questions here. Sorry, I'm getting behind on the questions. You all right over there, Becky?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just listening.
Okay.
I'm learning again.
Yeah. Steve says, thanks. Yeah, there are a lot of unsolved murder cases out there where the bodies have never been recovered and nobody is aware of where they are actually at. So if you can communicate with a spirit of that nature who actually discloses who killed him or her, that's pretty awesome. I know a guy that's working on a case who's actually communicating with somebody that was murdered. Her husband was at first found guilty of murder, and then they let him go due to the lack of evidence. But then he started, I think he got cut off there. Something started communicating, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it says
comment.
He was let go because of lack of evidence, but when he started communicating with this particular girl, he asked, "Who killed you? And where did he kill you?" She replied back, "My husband. It was in a basement."
Oh, wow. That's cool. Yeah, I couldn't read the rest of that comment for some reason. That's weird. On my end, it was cut off. Yeah, that's interesting. And see, that's another area of research, why we're getting into this cold case stuff and this murder investigation type stuff. Because, yeah, I want to do some of these sessions and it lead me to a location nobody knows about. Like I want to say, hey, I'm trying to communicate with anybody that was murdered, and like they're saying, yeah, and it says, okay, go down Highway 50, go left at so-and-so road out in the field, 30 feet. Yeah, if we get that type of information and get law enforcement there and they confirm somebody's there, that is just amazing. We're probably going to be suspects because we just located a murder victim that they didn't know anything about. But that's what I kind of worry about with that kind of stuff, because like sometimes when the person who discovers a body or something is some of the first people they look into. So Yeah, if we start getting communication to where we're led to bodies, I mean, that's going to be a whole different experience altogether. It's something we're going to try, though. I mean, like I said, they know what we're doing anyway. Some of the people that are taking us to these cold cases, so we'll let them know ahead of time. Hey, we're going to try this experiment. We're going to try to locate somebody that might be murdered and buried somewhere that you're unaware of. And and there's a lot of areas I want to focus on and check out, but it's going to be a cool area of research that we're going to do and try to prove it. I mean, that would just prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that spirit communication from the other side is real. If we can start locating locations like that. And I mean, I don't need any more proof. I know, through the research I've done that this stuff is legit, it's real, and we are communicating with the dead. But I want to prove it to you guys. I want to prove it to the world that that's what's going on. And that's why we like documentation. We like audio recordings. We want to prove to you guys this stuff is happening. And I'm sure you guys, the fans that follow us day in and day out, watch all our live feeds, you guys have seen the stuff happen live that, we can't explain. And you guys have found stuff on our live feeds that we didn't pick out, like that marble, for instance. I felt it hit me, but I was so excited about the blood that night at Pine Lawn, it just kind of passed out of my mind. I knew I get hit by a marble, but I was like, oh my God, blood's appearing on the chairs, and I'm trying to film that too. And I just totally forgot about the marble hitting me. Then some fans, messaged me back, oh, you got hit by a marble at, 27 minutes into the video from nowhere. And I was like, yeah. And then I go back and I pick it out of the live feed. And yeah, you can see the marble come and hit me. You can hear it bounce off my coat. We went back, found the marble. It was a marble, and it comes out of a solid wall. The door's shut. There's no holes in that wall. You can clearly see it in the video. And I'm referring to a piece of evidence we collected at Pine Lawn Manor I believe it was last year, last Halloween area. I have no explanation for that piece of footage still. That is my number one smoking gun piece of evidence from Pine Lawn Manor that marbles come out of nowhere. Because, I mean, I am filming and you can see this marble come out of nothing. There's nothing there. It's a wall. And so, I mean, that is my favorite piece of evidence I've ever collected in my life. And it was, it was by accident. I was recording and you guys told me to go back on the live and look at it. We clipped it out and found it. And just amazing. I mean, there's no debunking it. And I've taken people in there and showed them where it happened, because they were like, oh, let me see where that happened. And they think there's a vent up there or something that it could have been thrown out of. And once you get in there, you can see there's no vents there. It's a solid, the door is shut in the video. You can see the door is shut. The wall's over here where it comes from. And there's a little sign above the door, which people thought was a vent. That's actually a wooden sign, solid wooden sign with a number on it. It's not a vent. It looks like a square on the video because the video, you can't see real clearly up there. But I've showed it to people. They're like, oh my gosh, it did come from nowhere. So, yeah, it's just like you got to be in these locations and see, where these stuff took place at too, to see that it's legit. But gosh,
it sort of defied physics too.
Yeah.
When you throw something, it's going to go straight for a little bit, and then it's going to start arcing down. That never had any arc. It went straight the whole time. It came within the frame, and it did not really arc when it hit you. It just went straight. So that sort of defied the laws of physics right there.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is weird. I mean, the trajectory of that marble is very weird. And like I said, we've documented when these marbles hit and fall onto the ground, too. They spin in a counterclockwise rotation. Like the majority of the time, when they hit the ground, they spin, which is really weird. Like, they've been like almost shot out of a slingshot. I mean, they're spinning in a counterclockwise motion. And I don't even know if a slingshot would cause that. I mean, but it just... the force some of them fly out like a slingshot because they put dents in the wall behind us. One of the shooter marbles actually dented the wall behind us, but they never hit us with force to hurt us. Like that one hit me, but it didn't hurt me. But yeah, Jalen said, and it comes straight out at you and not from above or below. There was no arch like it was thrown by a human. in, I'm not sure what he's meaning there.
I think that means person, a human in person.
A human, yeah. But yeah, it was weird. Oh yeah, Karen's talking about the cold case in Montrose. The cold case in Montrose was interesting when you did your investigation a few months ago. Yeah, that's what a lot of our investigation is going to be like, probably in November, December area, Karen. We're going to do a lot of those. So if you like that, you're going to love the stuff we're going to be doing because, yeah, it's going to be very similar to that. We're still getting information regarding that one too. You know, we got information there could have been another murder that took place at that same gas station way years before that. I guess went unnoticed. I still haven't heard the official word on that, but yeah, we got a lot of people messaging us after that with new information. So yeah, that was pretty cool, and you know, I think that's why we're going to continue to do it. So, yep, and this is one of them we are going to be looking for. So, a little spoiler here. Yes, we are going to be doing this one, Karen. So stay tuned. That is one we're going to be looking for and trying to find information regarding. So
that's good. That one's preyed on my mind some. So
yes,
but then I think all of them have merit, because when you think of unsolved murders, you think of the pain that it's caused the family members, but it also causes pain to those that were murdered because they haven't got any rest. You know, it's not been solved. The persons that killed them are still out there. So that's causing, I think, a toll on the people that were murdered also, their spirits. So I don't know what you feel about that, Jason.
Yeah, and like, I hope, I mean, I know this sounds bad, but I almost hope that some of these people that are murdered like that haunt the heck out of the people who done it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would say that happens. You know, if you get a serial killer out there that's not caught, I mean, good grief, you'd think the people that they killed would be standing over their bed trying to kill them every night. You know, throwing stuff out, I'm trying to hit them with something. You know, it's just like, that's the thing too. Do the dead actually try to take revenge on the living that killed them, or in some sort of a way? You know, and it's some of this stuff's hard to comprehend. It gets deep into, you know, like psychological mindsets of, you know, the people who do this stuff too. And, you know, like you say, does it take a toll on someone? I don't know. I mean, but I would like to think.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I would like to think they're haunted by, you know, their victims.
Well, I was thinking back, although this was not an unsolved case, but the murder house in Evansville that we investigated, I think it was probably haunted by the lady that was murdered, simply because she was not aware that the killer had been caught and sent to prison. And I cannot remember. We did some EVP there that sort of indicated that. I can't remember right now what, but I think probably it was explained to her that he was now in jail. He was no longer on the streets, and we acknowledged her.
Exactly. We got some pretty disturbing EVPs there, if I remember right. Yeah. And what Becky's referring to, this has been years ago. What's that been? Probably 15 years ago?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, we investigated pretty much I wouldn't call it a cold case. It was a recent case.
Yeah.
Of a lady getting murdered, and they called us in because they were having so much stuff happen in this house. It was in Evansville, Indiana. This older lady got stabbed, and to tell you how, what was that? You still over there, Becky?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Did you hear that?
I heard something.
I don't know. It sounded like something came over the mic. I don't know. That's kind of weird. I heard something again. But anyway, this lady got stabbed, and it was so fresh. Like they had us coming in because there was so much stuff going on in this house right after this lady. Yeah, that's what I heard. Kind of, Karen, was a buzz. Uh, there was still blood on the wall. Like there was blood stains on the wall, and they were still numbered by crime scene investigators. They had like the letters and numbers to where they went around and actually, like the crime scene had lettered and numbered all the blood stains. There's blood stains on the floor still. The blood was still all over the house as we were investigating it.
They
That's how
just
fresh
pulled up
this
the
murder.
carpeting. They just pulled up
Yeah,
the carpeting where the outline of her body in blood was there. So you could actually see it on the floor underneath, I think.
yes, yes. Yeah, I remember the blood splatters all over the walls, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it
Where
was.
they had done the stuff for prints,
Oh
um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You could see where they fingerprinted the walls, like the black stuff. Where they tried to take fingerprints off the walls and everything was still there. I mean, this was a fresh crime scene we were called in to investigate. Let's just put it that way. And we got some pretty interesting EVP from what I believe to be the lady that was murdered. One of them, I do remember her in a really kind of, I don't know, creepy voice. I don't know, distressed voice saying, I got stabbed. You remember that? Like it said, I got stabbed. I got
mm-hmm.
stabbed. I do remember that one really clear. We got a lot of stuff there. I think we even got a name or two there. And but yeah, he was caught like shortly after that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was caught at the time we investigated, was he?
Yeah, he had been sentenced to jail already, I think. He was getting ready to go to prison.
I couldn't remember.
It wasn't very long after the murder that they found him. I think it ended up being, I don't know if I should be putting this out, but it was in the papers. It was the son of a boarder she had that stayed in her house. She rented
Yeah,
out the basement or something to this man, and it happened to be his son that came in and killed her. So,
yeah, yeah. It was an unfortunate deal and sad, and so they were experiencing a lot of activity in the house, so they had us come in, and and that's the thing too. Energy, I think. I've tried to research the heck out of this too, guys. Whether a fresh death like that, a horrific, bad, negative death like that has more energy right at the beginning, or if there's still that same amount of energy 10 years from now if it goes unexplained. And that's something we look into too. The the activity we pick up, does it taper off? Does it increase? Does it start out really active and then it goes away? Maybe when the murderer is caught. But in these cases, these cold cases where the murderer is never caught, does that energy remain the same? Until it, maybe 20, 30 years, maybe they finally, find something and figure it out. And it's just an interesting area of study altogether, with these crime scenes and paranormal phenomena, ghost research, paranormal research. I think it takes it to a different level and different knowledge level as far as trying to figure out if they can still communicate, that long of a time period, after it takes place. And we've communicated with ghosts and spirits we believe, that died in the 1800s. So it's just weird, why do some just vanish and you don't hear from them and others are still there? It just may be the way they died and they don't pass on, and just weird. I don't understand it. What's your theories on that, Becky, as far as why, what do you think as far as why some people are so, I guess, energetic to communicate with us and some fade away?
well, I think some of them probably are because they've been murdered, they've been abused, whatever, and they want not really vengeance, they just want somebody to know what's going on. If it was an unsolved murder, perhaps have that taken care of. I think some of them hang around because when they died, maybe, we've been to a lot of cemeteries and you see a whole string of children buried by a mother that died very young, like maybe in childbirth or something. Maybe a mother hangs around because she's looking over her children that she left behind. Or I don't know. I used to think that sometimes it's because they didn't realize they were dead. I'm not so sure about that. But I think they're,
Mhm.
and like you said, some of them, I think at a battlefield, it may still be an intelligent haunting, but think of a soldier. I cannot remember, but in the service, when you sign up in the service, you are not allowed to um, leave your post until you have been relieved of duty. Say you were a soldier, and this is just my theory, but if,
Mhm.
say, you were a soldier, you were in battle, well, you were killed, but you've not technically been relieved of duty. So you're still there supporting
Mhm.
the other people fighting in the battle, even if you cannot pick up a weapon and do it. I mean, it's like some things, some beliefs are so strong in you that you cannot give them up. And then there
You're
are
so
also the
dedicated to the cause.
and then there's also the fact that some people, because of their religion, were told,
Mhm.
if you sin a little bit, you're not going to go to heaven, you're going to go to hell.
Mhm.
And because of that belief, they're afraid to pass on. They're afraid to go on because they're afraid they're going to go to hell. And lingering here is more of a choice than going on to a place that they are afraid of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, a lot of it has to do with religion, I think, and definitely the dedicated to the cause type thing. You know, a soldier maybe continues to fight after he's passed away, and he continues to help in spirit form his platoon or whoever he's with, his comrade, what do you want to call him, to help, continue to help the war effort. Maybe whisper something in their ear even and tell them hints. And then all of a sudden he gets a thought in his head. Maybe I should go this way. There's those little voices, or hints we hear in our head. That kind of gets into a weird thing too. Maybe it is some type of communication from the other side guiding us and trying to help us throughout life. And yeah, but that's a good topic. You hit on there. They continue to fight for the cause even though they're dead. I mean, it's basically what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the heaven and hell thing. Yeah, religion can play a big role, I think, in what you experience in the afterlife. I mean, I truly think that if you're drilled this all your life, if I don't know how it works, but it's a theory and possibility. You can create your own reality after death. So if you're drilled that you're going to hell, and you think you're a bad person and you die, you may create your own hell. You may create your own heaven. Maybe it's a reality based thing that you create with your own mind. And that goes into a lot of conspiracy theories regarding that. Even some people think that we're in like this virtual reality video game right now, and it's like a matrix type scenario to where there's holes in the matrix. People have noticed weird things happening on videos and stuff that shouldn't be happening, like holes in the sky and like glitches in time. Like they'll watch a video and something will glitch, or they'll even be looking at it in real life and see something glitch that's not supposed to like glitch in real life. It looks like you're watching an animated video game, and all of a sudden you see this graphic looking glitch in the sky. It's almost like the Matrix theory. We'll get into that into a different episode because we're kind of getting into conspiracy theory stuff there and like kind of multi-dimensional stuff and just crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many theories as to what happens, but we'll definitely try to hit that on a different show and get into some conspiracy theory stuff. You guys want to hear like that type of stuff? Give me a yes out there in the comments. Like if you want us to get into like some weird, the conspiracy stuff. I try not to get into a lot of that just because I like to keep it, paranormal, research based and not, oh, this could be stuff. Karen says yes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's cool to research because it does fall under the category of, paranormal phenomena and activity and research. So I mean, and afterlife, because it could be matrix theories that we're talking about, but yeah, we'll get into some of that stuff in some into some future shows here, and it'll be pretty cool. But I just want to tell you guys too, we're kind of wrapping up toward the 2 hour mark here, so I'll probably end it here pretty soon. But definitely, check out our page, and if you guys want to take any of our tours this year, we got a lot of stuff on the lineup. Then, like I say, all the money's donated back to the building owners for upkeep of the building and maintenance. And we think that's a good thing and cool to do. So, we keep these buildings hopefully going in the future for paranormal research. So, but yeah, you guys just sign up if you want. Give us a message, call, and we'll get you set up. But yeah, I'd like to thank Becky for coming on tonight. I was gonna go more into kind of memory lane of where we went. Maybe we'll continue that into the next show and everything with Becky and everything. But kind of got sidetracked, guys. I apologize. They got to me earlier, and I went off track a little regarding some people coming on trolling. Becky kept me on track. Thank you, Becky.
That's my duty as den mother of the group.
Yeah, I was gonna say I guess not really on track, but you kept me being a good boy tonight, I guess. I didn't get too mad, so but yeah, we will. We'll try to, update you guys on all our stuff. And the next 2 shows too into October, like the first and third Monday in October will be our next shows. And we're probably going to hit on some more seasonal type topics. One of them, I think I'm going to dive into the full moon. It's going to be one of the episodes. I'm going to talk about all stuff regarding the moon, paranormal research. And since it's kind of a seasonal type thing with spooky stuff going on, last year I did the history of Halloween. If you guys go back and watch that, this year I'm going to do some more Halloween-based, topics regarding paranormal research. It's going to be pretty cool. Check out our shows, first and third Monday in October. And this Friday we're going to be investigating the old jail, probably, and possibly the Masonic Lodge, going back and forth. And Saturday night we got our Betsy Reed tour. So we may or may not go live. I may take a vote and see if they want to go live on the tours, guys. And if they do, we may go live and show you guys what we're doing Saturday night. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Like I say, kind of got a rough start there because of all the trolls coming in. And I've been deleting them all week. I've been deleting them off our posts, like our haunted tour posts. I've had to delete fake profiles. It's getting crazy. So, but we know who it is. We know who's doing it. It's another group, and they're just being petty. So, but thank you guys for watching. And Becky, you have anything? Like I say, thank you for coming on tonight.
Just thanks for letting me come on tonight. It was fun. We had some good topics there, and I like walking down memory lane sometimes. So. Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah, especially talking about the old investigations, and it's crazy how far we have come as a paranormal investigation team. I try to keep advancing in technology and ideas, and and keeping it everything going. So it's been fun. But yeah, we'd like to thank everybody for watching. We're gonna call it a night, guys. So thanks again, Becky.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.